So it acts like a super magnet. And that's what I found when I took and introduced nanographene or nano aluminum or nano titanium or nano ferric acid. From here to here, it literally attracted based upon their surface charge and became connected.
Hey friends, that was Dr. Robert Young, a true friend to humanity and a friend of science, real science. He has found a way to get the graphene and the nanotech out of the body of the vaxxed and the unvaxxed who've been transfected. And that's pretty much all of us at this point, guys. So as Bill Gates faces indictment in the Netherlands, and we're hearing Albert Bourla does too, the tide is truly turning for humanity, friends. This is a must-hear, must-share broadcast because it can actually save lives. Before we start, just a quick word about a good sponsor. If you suffer from any type of daily pain, you need to listen to this message very carefully. So many of us are searching for effective ways to relieve pain without side effects or addiction. We've all seen the horrors of the opioid crisis. You may even be affected personally, and that's where a pioneering medical scientist comes in. Clint Winters. You may have seen this world-renowned health expert featured in the national media as he's unveiled a natural pain reliever that's taking the world by storm. I'm talking about canalidine, the 100% drug-free way to get full-body pain relief without dangerous pills. Canalidine has become the go-to pain reliever for over 1 million Americans and hundreds of professional athletes. Clint explains how canalidine is the only compound on Earth that optimizes your body's natural painkillers called endorphins at any age. Best of all, canalidine will not make you feel the least bit groggy or drugged. You'll feel great, alert, and focused for the days ahead. And the best news is canalidine has no documented side effects after 14 years of extensive testing. So if you're dealing with pain, make sure you click on the link below and check out Clint's amazingly informative report on 100% American-made canalidine. This innovation is changing lives by providing safe and powerful relief at 1/10 the cost of pain pills. The link is below. Hey friends, welcome back. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Sean from SGT Report. Got an absolute blockbuster show for you today. Breaking news from Dr. Robert Young, new research that will help humanity heal, friends. But today we'll start with some topical news, leading with the fact that Kamala Harris is the epitome of a Jezebel. We'll get to that in just one second. Dr. Robert Young is back. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Yeah, nice to chat with you again, Sean. It's always an honor.
Well, it's good to see you. And guys, Dr. Robert Young is going to take us through some slides today that will blow your mind. I've seen the research. I've seen the data. It's exceptionally good news. And some of these photographs are going to look like AI to you. They don't even look real, but that's because the microscopy ability of this man to really zoom in and show you what's going on with a masterpiece is exceptional. We'll get to that in just one second, but let me show you guys this. The regime in power for the last 3.5+ years that is actively destroying the fabric of our nation is being exposed across all walks of life. All races, colors, and creeds are waking up to the treason from within. And Kamala Harris, she's the epitome of a Jezebel. Listen to this.
BLM people out here burning down cities and didn't even get 3 years. Right? This woman, all she did was pray in front of a abortion clinic, and she's getting 3 years. It's ridiculous.
Away from her family.
Oh, this just goes to show y'all how much y'all will vote is so important. Y'all have to vote. Y'all cannot let Kamala get in. That's Kamala's administration. That woman who sentenced me, that's Kamala's administration. This is what Kamala has been doing the whole time. Before she ever became, which as soon as she touched foot as an AG in San Fran, she was putting people under the jail. She gets a joy out of that. She don't care about you being separate from your family. She don't care about none of that. This is the epitome of Jezebel. This is a feminist movement. And now you're watching the vibe between women and men because you're starting to see, like, these women, they don't care about America first. These women, they get this power and they operate from emotion, and they don't care about America. They don't care about nothing. They don't care about a person's life. They'll accuse a guy of rape in a second for a check. They'll tarnish their name, tarnish their character. We've allowed these women in power to become out of control. And any woman who is a leader that is not power pressed will understand exactly what I'm saying. because not every woman is like this.
Let me pause it there. I'm going to come back to Doc here in just 1 second. But guys, Kamala is the epitome of a Jezebel. She's pure evil. What is a Jezebel? An impudent, shameless, or morally unrestrained woman. Friends, it's Kamala Harris who literally told somebody at one of her rallies recently, the person said, Jesus is Lord. Kamala said, you're at the wrong rally. Well, isn't that the truth? The Demon Rat Party is the party of Satan at this point. Doc, you must have some comments on that. This poor woman sentenced to 3 years in prison for praying in front of an abortion clinic by the Biden administration.
Well, I spent 6 months in jail because I discovered and published peer-reviewed paper on the prevention and reversal of any cancerous condition. And so helping people, with education, not medication, is a crime. When you're empowering people with this knowledge, you're punished for it. You're punished for talking about a cure for cancer, period. They don't want it. It's not part of the protocol. The protocol that's laid out for cancer, the protocol that's laid out for coronavirus is a total fraud. All of it is meant to embellish other people's balance sheets.
100%.
Their assets, being converted from you to theirs. And it's a crime.
It is
what's going on. When you have a philosophy of using disease to treat disease or to treat disease with chemicals or poisons, this makes no sense to me. There are natural ways to do this. And it's unfortunate what has happened to this poor soul because she's praying, because I pray every day for the peace and freedom of every soul on this planet. Man, woman, and child, we're all at risk with this etiology that is nothing but evil.
It's anti-human, Doc. It's 100% anti-human. And for anybody who has empathy for that poor black woman facing 3 years in prison, she's been sentenced now to 3 years in prison for praying. If you have empathy for her, then you must vote for Donald J. Trump because he will pardon her. It's just that simple. By the way, the House report on HHS COVID propaganda is absolutely devastating. The Biden-Harris administration spent almost $1 billion to push falsehoods about COVID, quote unquote, vaccines, boosters, and masks on the American people. Outright lies. If a pharma company had done the same, they would have been fined out of existence. Friends, this is the administration of death. I think it is the administration of Satan himself. I swear to God, I'm not being hyperbolic. But there's good news to share, folks. Very good news to share. The tide is turning. I'll continue to say it. And I think it's going to be too big to rig. But let me just play this brief report from John Bine over at InfoWars about the fact that Bill Gates has been indicted by a court in the Netherlands, and now he must stand trial in the Netherlands. This is why he gave $50 million to the Harris campaign secretly recently, because he doesn't want to get indicted in this country, which may well happen if Donald J. Trump returns to the White House. Listen to this.
A court in the Netherlands has ruled that Bill Gates, along with other defendants, including Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla and former Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte, must stand trial over allegations related to injuries caused by COVID-19 vaccines. The case, brought by 7 plaintiffs, claims that Gates and others misled the public about the safety of these vaccines, asserting they knew the vaccines were not safe or effective. This legal action represents a significant challenge to Gates, focusing on his role in the global push for vaccinations through his foundation's involvement in the pandemic response.
We should have free speech, but if you're inciting violence, if you're causing people not to take vaccines, where are those boundaries that even the U.S. should have rules? And then if you have rules, what is it? Is there some AI that encodes those rules because you have billions of activity and, if you catch it a day later, the harm is done?
In my medical opinion, these are the most toxic pharmaceutical products that have ever been released on the market.
And that's a friend of the show, Dr. William Marcus, right there. I'm coming back to you, Dr. Young. Alex Jones notes this is a very big deal. In Gates' own court filings, Gates admits that this case in the Netherlands will trigger a chain reaction that could bring down the entire system. The globalists are not too big to jail. The tide is turning, Doc. I'm very, very excited about that.
Well, what you're saying, I know is true because in 2021, when the so-called vaccine, I don't even like to call them vaccines, but as the supposedly or the supposed vaccine was introduced to the world, I had the opportunity to look at this. And what I found was that 5% of the first inoculation contained ingredients which were not disclosed on the white sheet, on the description of the contents. They were undisclosed ingredients. I then got an opportunity to look at the second batch for the second vaccine, and I learned that that went as high as 25% and even up to 50%, but 25% on an average, and that contained non-disclosed or undisclosed ingredients in those vials that were toxic. They're poisons. They're chemicals that can do harm. And for each release from the boosters, what have you, the amount of contamination went up as if now they were just going full bore. They saw the efficacy, effectiveness of this systemic poisoning when they localized it at 5%, at 25% versus those that were receiving placebos. But here's the information that's just abominable. 100% of all the injuries and all of the deaths were caused by that 5% and 25% going up. And so now, if those have had 3-4 shots, you're literally been infected with chemicals that are very, very difficult to remove. And I found over 21 different toxic chemicals and poisons that are not only cytotoxic, meaning will destroy the cell, genotoxic, but also magnetic toxic. And just recently, there was an article that was released by some of my peers from around the world, by the way, and they published an article disclosing. In fact, the title of this article is at least 55 undeclared chemical elements found in the COVID-19 vaccines, from AstraZeneca to Moderna to Pfizer to Sinopharm to Sputnik 5, with toxins that should never be injected into the body unless you have some sort of alternative motive to decrease, as was said by Kissinger, to decrease the surplus population of useless eaters, close quote. And so this was just released, and what it did is substantiated my work at 2021. It took me a year to publish. Finally, in July of 2022, in a peer-reviewed published journal, Medical Sciences, and it's great to see my colleagues, my peers, publishing this work that's literally revealing the fact that these were not vaccines in the truest sense. The truest sense, these were literally biological weapons that destroyed cells, that destroyed these anatomical elements that make up the intelligence of the cell, that were magnetic, many of them. And one of the purposes of my research was I was very interested when I saw the disclosed ingredients as polyethylene glycol, the hydrogel, lipid, uh, let's call it a carrier. It was, which here again, when I looked inside of this and when I measured it using directed energy X-ray spectroscopy, it was loaded with various elements that I've just talked about: aluminum, ferric oxide, graphene. And, there is no purpose in putting this material in unless you have alternative motives. And those alternative motives I've described in the very patents that literally patent this technology for intended purposes, which are nefarious. So I can show some of this because I want people to have, when I say people, I want all of humanity who was interested to have this documentation, because we can talk about what they're doing, but we also have to come up with a solution to this pollution. It doesn't enhance immunity, it destroys immunity. It destroys white blood cells. It destroys red blood cells. And one of the things that I took up, several months ago, and we talked about this, Sean, we talked about a product called Masterpiece. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I did the engineering on this product, the reason why I did what I did, because I needed to find something, a combination of ingredients that were in opposite magnetic polarity to the very oxides or the very positively charged particulates that are harmful to the body, like aluminum, like graphene, like titanium in its oxide forms, like, the graphene, if I haven't mentioned that. These things in the body shouldn't be there, and they're causing injury and they're causing harm. And it can be activated throughout your cell phone. In other words, it's excited. The University of Yale did this original research. It's called Tesla-phoresis. It's the activation of these oxides, these positively charged particulates start self-assembling. And they literally show the self-assembling that can happen inside anything, including your body, of these what are called nanodots. These nanodots, and I'll show you pictures of these, and it's very important because I'm using high resolution transmission microscopy so people can see what's inside these vials, because you can't see this stuff with the naked eye. You can't even see it using a dark field microscope. And I want to be very clear on that. You cannot see this technology looking under dark field. You may be able to see it's under the fact of Tesla-phoresis, maybe the self-assembly larger particulates of this in the micron range. I'm talking millimicron. I'm talking nanometers, not micrometers. I'm talking nanometers, 1/1000th of a meter, all the way down to the atomic and subatomic level. So it's great, Sean, to see this paper, and I'm happy to provide it. In fact, that paper is published, peer-reviewed, but I've also placed this for your edification, your education, on my Dr. Robert Young scientific articles. This is all free. It's important that it is free, and it's important that you share this information, because I want you to understand there is no safe vaccine for your children or for your young adults, for your teenagers, for anyone, any human, any animal. There is no such thing as a safe vaccine.
Well, and the COVID-19 vaccines in particular are deadly We know it. The all-cause mortality rising 30% in the Western nations that rolled this thing out. Prove it. Ed Dowd has written a book about it, died suddenly. But the good news is this nano-zeolite-based product that you basically invented, sir, Masterpiece, is binding the graphene to the molecule in the zeolite, and it is removing it from the body. So you've got screen share capability. Why don't you take us through this new research? Show people these images. It's really incredible that you've come up with something that can cleanse the blood, the toxins from the blood of both the vaxxed and the unvaxxed. Because as Dr. Anna Mielche showed us on this show, unvaxxed people have been transfected as well. That's why I take Masterpiece every single day, despite never having gotten the COVID-19 bioweapon.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see if I can bring this up so you can actually see this. So what we're looking at here are some of the vials that we had access to. I mentioned Pfizer, I mentioned Moderna, AstraZeneca, and also Johnson and Johnson's, and of course my colleagues and peers. This is the article which I'm happy to share at drrobertyoung.com. You can probably find it on some of the like Google Scholar or ResearchGate, what have you. But this is the article that's quite lengthy. And if you start looking at some of these compounds that are in here, based upon the different manufacturers of the different vaccines, you can see all the different non-disclosed ingredients that are in here. We're not going to go into that, but you can look at that if you read the paper. Here's some that are the Karen Kingston, who you have, she actually isolated these from that paper, so you could see some of the earth elements that are contained in these vaccines. When I did my original research, I listed the declared ingredients, which the manufacturers were saying this is what's in our vaccine, and then I did the research. And I found something very interesting. I found that in all of the vaccines, they were all contaminated with graphene. They were all contaminated with ferric oxide. They were all contaminated with copper oxide, except for one, the Johnson, Johnson and Johnson. The other thing that I found is that let me go back to that. They're literally in. You can see down here, you can see silicon, you can see other elements, even down to Trypanosoma cruzi parasites in the Pfizer and the Moderna. So this was very, very concerning. And so when I started looking at these things at high magnification, I was able to see what is called these dots, these very small, you can't see them with the eye, but these are graphene, ferric, aluminum, self-assembling. Here's the scanning and transmission microscopy of these of the nano graphene oxide with the spike proteins. So you get a kind of an up close personal, and you can see the ruler here at 100 nanometers. This happens to be a picture to the right of the graphene. So this is using correlation with phase array topography and scanning electron microscopy. It's more three-dimensional. And you can't see this with a compound microscope, whether you're using bright field or whether you're using phase contrast, or using dark field. It's very, very difficult to see. So probably over 8 or 9 months ago, I introduced the world to the first high resolution transmission microscopy of zeolite Z, which is the family of clinoptilolite. It's a solidification of of lava. When it hits the ocean, it solidifies, and this is what it looks like at the nano level. So right now we're looking at about 256,000 times. So we've gone from the world of microscopes, micro, to nanoscopes. We're now in the 1 billionth. And what I learned from this is I learned that this material, this zeolite, is multi-staged. It's multi-dimensional. It's structured. So these are the original ones that I took. I also took pictures of the positive charge surface areas of hexagonographene that I found in the vaccines. And this is a contaminant that I found in just about every vaccine that I have had the opportunity to test. And you can see, based on 100 nanometers, you can see the structure is very similar to zeolite. So if you look at the structure, which is hexagonal, you see here the hexagonal shape of the graphene and the hexagonal shape of the zeolite. What is the difference? The difference, if you preserve that charge, because that charge can be reversed through the processing of this material down to nano size, you can lose that charge, and it becomes, it becomes problematic, which makes this product very, very unique, very different, and a one of a kind. So you can see that here again, the construct, this surface area called zeta potential. So it's zeolite Z, Z standing for zeta. Zeta potential is the surface charge, and you can see the surface charge is multidimensional, much like graphene is multidimensional, but is an opposite polarity. So this is a positive charge surface. This is a negative charge. When we were kids, we played with magnets, and we learned very early that negative and negative will repel each other, positive and positive will repel each other, but negative and positive will connect together. So in engineering, I published a paper in combination with the benefits of CBD and Masterpiece in an article which I'm happy to provide. It's being published in November for free. But what I found is, once we took this zeolite and we broke it down using various elements, various acids to do that, we ended up with a product that was bathed in acid, and that had to be burned off or had to be reversed. So based upon our patents and our processing of this material, I was able to reverse the polarity of this back up to a negative surface charge, back up to a pH of 8.4 to 9 at a negative 80 to 109 millivolts. We're measuring the voltage or the charge. That wasn't the case, and is not the case of these other zeolites that are out there. This high resolution at 0.1 nanometer to 0.2 nanometers transmission electron microscopy at a scale of, the scale on this is 2.54 centimeters to 50 nanometers. So if you're looking at an inch, we're looking at an inch here, that would be at 15 nanometers. So it goes down from there all the way down to, under 15 nanometers, all the way down to 1 nanometer. So this is very, very tiny. So here's the declaration on this of what we then added: Solar-G. Solar-G is a colloidal processing at a pH of 8.5, 8.4 to 9 to bring the pH so that when it was introduced into the body, we're not introducing an acid, we're introducing an alkaline substance that is from sea minerals in a colloidal form, so that it can pass through any barrier, brain barrier, heart barrier, reproductive barrier. But you notice the difference when we took it from this state, which was an acid state, we ended up creating more surface area. Look at all the surface area. And wherever there's surface area, that charge, negative charge, is expressed. So it acts like a super magnet. And that's what I found when I took and introduced nanographene or nano aluminum or nano titanium or nano ferric acid in the form of these graphene aluminum, what are called nanodots. What had happened? From here to here, it literally attracted based upon their surface charge and became connected.
Guys, apologies for this real quick break. Okay, so it's no secret that we're all aging, and we've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams are the easiest way to look younger. Now one doctor says that's nothing but old news. According to John Lakey, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixes on the market are nothing but glorified moisturizers. Recently, Dr. Lakey has focused attention away from mainstream cosmetic practices. Why? So he can pursue a revolutionary anti-aging breakthrough. His personal clients have dubbed his new do-it-yourself technique the Age Rewinder method. In light of this breakthrough, Dr. Lakey has released a step-by-step video to the public, free and uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use this simple solution from home. The video has since gone viral. At first, it was shared by users on Facebook, but since then, it's racked up over 2.3 million views and counting. You can find out more about this yourself right now by going to bhmd1.com/SGT or click the link in the description below. That's bhmd1.com/SGT. If watching this video helps you look and feel younger than you have in years, then please share this video with your friends and loved ones. Together, we have the power to help as many women reclaim a youthful look as possible. And I would say dudes too. Go watch the video at bhmd1.com/SGT right now, or just click the link. I'll leave it below.
From here to here, it literally attracted based upon their surface charge and became connected. So the attachment of a positive charge graphene nanodot or aluminum or ferric oxide to the negative charge surface area of masterpiece zeolite in a solution that is identical based upon charge and pH to what is called the interstitial fluids, which are the fluids that surround every cell in the human body. So all of our cells swim in salt water. That salt water is very similar to the ocean. That's why I call this environment the largest organ of the body. It's called the interstitium. It contains, a majority of the fluids of the body because it's surrounding every cell. And so when that is off, this is when cancer is, and that was my premise. My theory was based upon cancer is a disease of these fluids that affect the cells and not the reverse. Cancer is not a cellular disease. It is an environmental disease. Just as when you're receiving the inoculation, you're poisoning the interstitial fluid, and then that poisons the cells, which is then led, Sean, you mentioned it, to an increase up to 30% what are called turbo cancers.
Mm-hmm.
The turbo cancer is being caused by a direct assault of specific poisons that are being introduced at the nano level. Therefore, it'll be dumped into the interstitial fluid, into the blood. It has no barrier to stop it. And that's what I show here. I'm actually showing in the experiment that these nanobots of graphene, aluminum, all these poisons are attached based upon their surface charge. They're attached to the matrix.
Let me just interrupt and say you speak at a very, very high level. You speak at a scientifically high level. Sometimes that gets a little hard for folks to follow. So using English, can you just go back to that last picture? I want to see both of those pictures again. Let's be real clear here. These are not AI created. This isn't artwork. These are actual photographs, correct?
These are actual photographs.
Okay, go back to that, please. Go back to the one where we just
Let's
were.
go. Yeah, these are actual
Okay,
photographs
stand by. These
at
are
high
actual
resolution.
photographs. On the left is the zeolite, is the masterpiece. On the right
That's correct.
is the masterpiece, the zeolite, attracting the graphene and the aluminum and all of the nanotoxins, binding it to the zeolite, and then you urinate it out of your body, guys. Do I have that about right, Doc?
Not only do you urinate it, you sweat it out. These particles are so small, they come out through the pores of your skin. They come out through the bowel eliminations, through urine eliminations. Even your respiration will eliminate these bound up particulates of whatever positive charge poison that they're introducing into these medicines, so-called medicines or so-called inoculations. So when you look at these, you're looking at, you know, the accumulation of these nanobots, these nanodots, and we have the evidence not just in a picture. We have the evidence because we did a blinded study. I published on that blinded study, and it reduced up to 90% of these toxins within a period of 90 days.
Okay, say that again. I want to be really clear here. The reason for this show is to share this miraculous discovery that masterpiece, zeolite, a sea plasma, essentially, a healthy product. You take 5 drops under the tongue in the morning, 5 drops under the tongue at night, and it will go into your body and attract all of this crap, guys, that we've been poisoned with, and it will help eliminate it from your body. That is a groundbreaking piece of information. I wanted to just hit that hard, Doc.
It's very important because I wasn't coming from this position other than it dawned on me that we need to see this under high resolution TEMS, transmission electron microscopy. We need to see this. We know it's happening. We know based upon our research then, even at using dark field, we see this at the micron level. But where does it begin? It begins, at this nano level, and it self-assembles into sheets, into tubes, into threads. And this is what is being reported by folks like Dr. Anna, is showing these self-assembled graphene or titanium or aluminum bits. They're going into tubes and sheets, and this is when it becomes very, very dangerous, such as in this hydrogel here with a self-assembled graphene biochip. This is magnetic, so it attracts, it can receive, and it can transmit. And this is what is being seen at this particular level. Here again, these are not generated by AI. These are videos of this, where this technology is actually being seen in blood, in live blood. So you're saying, what is this doing in it? And what is the material? You can only state what it is after you run in combination with scanning transmission electron microscopy in combination with directed energy X-ray spectroscopy. And that's what I did in this report, which I'm happy to send to all of you. ACT Scientific Medical Sciences Scanning and Transmission Electron Microscopy reveals graphene oxide. That was one of 20 plus poisons, chemicals, metals, heavy metals that I found. And this was published, you see, in July of 2022. The work was done in March, February, on towards, and then getting the published paper. But people need to understand that I'm excited to announce that now my peers have published another paper just in October of 2024, some 3 years later, from my work, and validating the efficacy of what this all is, you see. And that's what I wanted people to know. The hexagonal construct. And these are just more of the same thing. And it's in the researches, biosensors and bioelectronics, recent advances in graphene-based biosensors, graphene field effects transistors for biomedical. How do you think they're going to be able to communicate, wireless? They're not doing it through the cell phone. They're doing it with your body. And they have to have a material in your body to be able to give you, for them to do this wireless, to be able to pick up these, all of the things you learn about in chemistry, that when you go get a comprehensive chem test from your doctor, and they tell you what your sodium, potassium levels are. This all can be done remotely. That was the purpose of this, to be able to provide remote. It sounds great, remote medical, but the problem is the material that's being used is not stable, and it can cause harm. It's totally rejected by the body, and even the patents, the connection between the graphene, the aluminum, nanotechnology, the ferric oxide of CV19 vaccination of 5G millimeter microwave. This is the patent for this. This is the technology. And the whole reason why, I've been doing this work and been speaking out of it. Even Section 28, taken from the U.S. patent, states COVID-19 vaccines and all COVID-19 preventative treatments can also contain microorganisms in a weakened or live state. A microorganism such as artificial intelligence, parasites, directed lipid hydrogel containing magnetic, graphene, ferric oxide, and aluminum particles. Did I find aluminum? Yes. Are we testing right now? Masterpiece, the company, Human Consciousness Support, is the only company in the world that has a safe and effective zeolite that literally has been proven to be able to trap this stuff. So if I go back down through this presentation and we get into some of this research that's important, here you see, the identification of Trypanosoma cruzi parasites, and here again, covered with what? Graphene, iron, copper, aluminum, all found and identified in the blood of a 45-year-old male, vaccinated and boosted. You see, this is the information. Look at the levels on aluminum. And we're hair testing this right now. We're doing research right now. And if you go to the, to want to know this through hair analysis, the company, Consciousness Support, will provide a reduced price. In fact, even give you 3 bottles, to help offset some of the costs, so you can learn for yourself how toxic your body is, because the body's trying to get rid of it. And guess where it goes? Out through the pores, into the hair. And that's where the analysis comes from, is from the hair. So when we looked at this, and I'm going to go down further on this presentation so you can see a little more of what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter if it's a vaccine for bird flu or for monkeypox. They all contain these toxins.
I'm still reeling from the picture of the parasite enveloped by graphene. It's just horrifying.
Well, yeah, it is horrifying, and people don't realize that they're being poisoned, thinking that we have a system of medicine that we can trust. But guess what? You have to verify that trust. And that's all I was doing. I was just trying to trust. Here again, we'll get back down through here. This is 163 slides. But when we looked at this is what we found. 65 substances over a 45-day, 45 to 90-day period. We're talking, here this timeline. Aluminum reduction, 60%. Glyphosate. Where's glyphosate? That's a pesticide. It's a poison. Where is it? It's in all your food. It's all your vegetables, being sprayed, aerosol, either by, drones or by, machine, a truck, or what have you. Lindane, phosgene. What is going on with that phosgene? Here again, these are just some of the things that are associated with the increase of autism. Now, not 1 in 45, 1 in 30, 1 in 30. It's getting worse, folks. And it's being caused by these toxins, but are initiating in childhood vaccines. They contain these poisons, and that's why we see these problems. So, I'm happy to provide these reports, to and here again, your cats, your dogs, your animals, they're dealing with the same thing. And if you love your animal, it's very simple. Masterpiece, you take 5 drops under the tongue twice a day to get this nanotechnology into the interstitial fluid to begin chelating this out. We know it's working. We're testing urine, we're testing blood. And for those in the science world, just so you understand, we did intracellular testing. So what we were testing was what was inside your cells, inside the cells. And we're finding horrific contaminants inside the cell, and it was being pulled out by this technology. And we've tested now, there's 80,000 poisons we could test. We've tested 27 of these toxins that are most prominent, such as forever chemicals, FOS, PFOS, PFOA, the lipid stuff, the poisons that are coming into the body. Microplastics, we're testing for that. We're testing for heavy metals, mercury and lead. Yes, it works the same way. It really doesn't matter, because our outcome is to provide this solution for healthier and happier people. And it's hard to be happy and healthy if you're being poisoned on a regular basis from the air you breathe, the water you drink, the foods you eat, and then on top of it, the nutraceuticals and the pharmaceuticals that you're ingesting. So this is a real serious problem. I don't know if you want me to go back to any of those pictures again that you'd like to see, but
well, the one I'd really like to see as we round out the conversation is give me a slide that really shows the reduction of the toxins in the blood. Show us the test results that you've done here. I know you had a chart. I think you just clicked on it briefly.
Yeah, I clicked on it briefly, and I can put that up. So let me just several of the most effective natural antidotes from the inactivation removal of graphene, ferric oxide, aluminum, hydrogel, trypanosome or cruciate parasites, which we're finding in the blood. We found it in the interstitial fluid. We found it in saliva. We're finding it in urine. We're finding it in sweat. We're finding it in drinking water, food, air, pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, personal care. I mean, if you go to your local, pharmaceutical and go to laxatives, you're going to see a lot of these ingredients in those laxatives, and this is what we published. We published. I did this with Caroline Mansfield from London, but here you can actually see the charts, and I should increase the size on that so you can see it. I think I do that down here, but this whole article, I'm happy to provide at no charge to anyone who requests it. But here's some of the client one examples before and after 35 days after taking 5 drops. So a female age 60 vaccinated, graphene was very high at 520 plus, here again, millimoles. It dropped down to significantly, if we look then across at the graphene, let's see what we have. It dropped down to 185. The PFOS at 331 dropped down to 140. The polypropylene, here again was at 223, a little less, but you can see that it's affecting every one of these toxins. Here's another example of client 2. Here again, let's look at client 3 here. This is before and then 35 days after 5 drops. This was the initial graphene at 516, 519. Aluminum, we added to this, testing the aluminum, but on graphene, it dropped down to 255. But we're seeing the benefits of this. Here's the chart here for the baseline. We can see as illustration, subject 1, subject 2, subject 3. These were the areas that we looked at. These are just a few of the 27 compounds, chemicals, heavy metals, what have you, that we looked at, forever chemicals. Graphene oxide 510 down to 54. That was in 35 days. Here we see forever chemicals for subject 1, subject from 331 to 239. Hydrogel polyethylene glycol 223 down to 18. And we're seeing the same thing happen across the board with other elements of concern, such as aluminum. And so this is the average then reduction of polypropylene, polyethylene glycol, PFOS, PFOA, graphene, etc. 60% up to 80% on PFOA. And that's across the board in this study. So we're the only company, when I say the company, I'm talking about Human Consciousness Support. They're the only company that is doing the necessary testing for urine, for blood, for intracellular toxicity, and then also now for hair, to show that this product is not only safe, but it's also highly effective. And it's literally, I can say with certainty, that it is an antidote or a solution to the pollutions.
Absolutely. It is indeed. Why don't you end your screen share? We'll say our goodbyes. I can't tell you how much I appreciate all your efforts to try to shore up a defense mechanism for humanity, because we're under attack. But the tide is turning. Bad guys like Bill Gates, ultimately Albert Bourla, the folks at the CDC, the FDA, they're all on warning. Okay? This administration, which will include Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is going to bring this corruption, systemic corruption, to an end. That's what I firmly believe. I think we're going to win in a landslide because Americans have woken up in absolute droves, and Kamala Harris is a shameless Marxist Jezebel. They're the Good Doctors websites. Now, this is the one with the information, the research, all this stuff is for free. However, if you
just click on Scientific Posts.
Yep, just click on Scientific Posts. But what I want people to know, too, is that you are the mind behind pH Miracle products. Guys, the pH Miracle products, again, if you have the right pH level in your body, if you maintain the correct pH level, you don't get cancer. In fact, you can really help defeat cancer if you do have it. I'm not calling it a cure, But, that's why that's why they've been coming after the good doctor for so long, because he's presenting things that can help people that Big Pharma cannot patent. But as a result of all of his activism, his health activism, his informational health activism, he has been the target of the deep state, the shadow state, for years and years and years. And he's still a target. He's still trying to defend himself against these people, the weaponization of our own government against good doctors. And he could use your support. He could use your support. If you could pitch in $5, $10, I will leave a link to the Give, Send, Go to help defend Dr. Robert Young. That link is below, as is the link to these other websites and a link to Masterpiece. Doc, I know you've been moving heaven and earth trying to help people. So we in return want to try to help you. I've got a very supportive audience. Is there anything else we can do for you?
Well, I really appreciate the financial, but even more so your prayers.
Yeah.
Your prayers mean so much to me. Prayer is a medium of communication that's more powerful than anything. But your outpouring of love and support and your prayers are I'm so grateful for. So thank you, Sean, for mentioning this and because I do need help. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I pray for that, not only for myself, but just to help continue the research, because we are literally, in the throes of an extinction type event. We have to come up with antidotes. And based upon our early research and now going forward, I can strongly state that we have found a safe and effective antidote or a solution to the pollutions that they are chemtrailing us, that they are droning us, that they are spraying on us. And we are publishing this. We're getting it peer reviewed. We're doing research that our peers are looking at and agreeing with and allowing this to be published now. And I'm so grateful for that, and so grateful that you have me on your show to be able to share this information, because true sharing is true caring. So thank you again, Sean.
Well, it's my pleasure. And guys, listeners, I just want you to realize, I want you to know from the heart, the man you see here, everything you just heard, he's the genuine article. Off the air, he's just as sincere and kind off the air as he is on the air. So this is a product that really is meant to help you. It's affordable. The link is below. Share it with your friends and family. Share it with anybody you care about, anybody who you want to live, anybody who want to feel better, anybody that you care about, that you want to live, should know about Masterpiece. Our guest has been Dr. Robert Young. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, friends, thank you so much for tuning in. Would you spread this one far and wide, please? Get the word out. Get the word out. There is hope for people who have taken the bioweapon and for those who have been transfected by those who took the bioweapon. There's lots and lots of hope, not the least of which is Bill Gates, I think, is headed for prison. Albert Bourla, you're next. Friends, thanks so much for tuning in. I'll remind you every single day for free. Check us out to get the real news, the antidote to corporate propaganda and CIA Mockingbird mainstream media lies at sgtreport.com 24/7. And until next time, may God the Creator continue to bless you and yours. Bye-bye.
This is an extinction level event that's going on in our world. And I just don't mean in Gaza. Don't forget these jabs. It's gone into everybody. Billions of people have been injected. Hundreds of millions of people worldwide have died, and it's not stopping. It's increasing. The turbo cancers are increasing. So if we don't find a way into that courthouse, then people better lock and load, because it's going to get very, very ugly.